Cities. A decent crowd in here at Wanderers Football Park. James Troisi back into the side for Western Sydney tonight, alongside Tom Aldred, and alongside me tonight is Phil Moss. Mossy, how good is it? Cup nights are back. A little bit earlier this year, but it's fantastic.
Oh, it's brilliant, Ben. Great to be here. It really has a cup feel about it tonight here at Wanderers Football Park, and really looking forward to seeing what these two teams dish up. There's some real pressure, particularly on Western Sydney Wanderers, to make the round of 32 of the cup. But Brisbane will have no less expectations, of course. But the pressure of the season is off. The disappointment of not making the finals is gone, and it's all about tonight.
Wanderers finishing the regular season in the A-League Men's in 10th spot, Brisbane in 11th. So that is why it is Wanderers who host. And of course, last night, the Newcastle Jets in that other playoff through to the round of 32 after they defeated Perth Glory. So everything up for grabs tonight. Here's how Western Sydney Wanderers line up. Just 5 players remain from Mark Rudan's team that drew 1-1 with MacArthur on Sunday. Swiss Cup winner Adama Traore returns at left back, while Keanu Bacchus returns for what shapes as his Wanderers farewell. Ugarkovic, Troisi, Hemed and Nazarene are also back, while Jared Carluccio retains his starting spot after scoring his first senior goal on Sunday. Abini, Nata, Lapane and Mudakudis drop to the bench, while Petratos and Antonis are out of the squad altogether. One change for Brisbane after their win on Tuesday over Sydney. Former Westfield Sports High student Louis Zabala comes into the starting 11 for Josh Brindle-South, who will begin on the bench. They have a side filled with cup experience. Jay O'Shea and Tom Aldred have more than 80 cup appearances between them, including from their time in the UK playing in the FA and League Cups. Kodam's in charge of this cup clash tonight. Carney Robinson and Greg Taylor, the assistants, with Stephen Lucas, the 4th official. And there are the 2 head coaches deep in conversation, Warren Moon and Mark Rudan. Rudan just his 2nd match in charge of an A-League men's club in the Cup after Wellington lost to Bentley in 2018. He's gone as far as the round of 16 though, with Sydney United on a number of occasions. And for Warren Moon, he's been to the round of 16 before as well, back in 2015 and 2018 with Lions FC, the NPL side from the NPL in Queensland. He went to the quarterfinals in the most recent edition with Brisbane Roar. So as the fog descends on Wanderers Football Park, the suspense builds ahead of this Australia Cup playoff match. Remembering there's only 1 spot available now for an A-League men's club, just 10 spots in the competition. Perth Glory have already missed out. Who will miss out? Who will go through the next 90 minutes with the potential of more than that tonight? I'm sure they'll be keen to get the win and get to their pre-seasons proper before next season begins in earnest, because both will be keen to improve on their campaigns from 2022. So good to go here in this playoff in the Australia Cup. So the final spot for an A-League men's club in the Australia Cup round of 32 goes on the line. And Phil Moss, you feel at the end of a long season, the question is, who is more desperate tonight in the west of Sydney?
Well, that's what cup games come down to, Ben, isn't it? It's on the night. And a lot of pressure on both clubs, of course. Western Sydney are in everything to win as a big club. But Brisbane, no doubt, will want to come here and cause what would be a cup set. Western Sydney certainly favourites at home at their training complex to take the result tonight.
Have met in the cup competition before. Back in August 2015, Western Sydney Wanderers with a 1-0 win on that occasion. as Adama Traore can't track it down, so an early corner here for the visitors.
Fantastic ball sprayed from Curtis Good out to the right-hand side. From Connor Chapman, I should say, I beg your pardon, out to the right-hand side to find Ellie Adams. Wonderful switch of play to force this corner.
So Alex Parsons with the delivery. Chapman got up, just brushed off the head. An early warning there for Western Sydney.
An interesting role for Connor Chapman. He's playing predominantly in a midfield role, but does drop into that back line when they're building up. Defensively, no doubt, it will help form a back five for Brisbane.
Yeah, big part of that this season has been Kai True, and they're finding Jay O'Shea. 51st Cup appearance tonight. A lot of those for Chesterfield over in the UK. Now, neat little back heel there from Parsons, looking for Lescano. Brisbane looking to build off the back of that win over Sydney FC on Tuesday night. Perfect tonic coming into this one. As again, Parsons, he's looking sprightly, scored in that win as well. Based on the start of this one, Mossy, it seems like it could be an entertaining cup affair.
And tight. Brisbane have certainly come out of the blocks well. They're moving the ball very well. Beautiful surface tonight. Nice and slick, the ball really zipping around.
Yeah, beautiful facilities here at Wanderers Sportspark in Blacktown. Good crowd in as well. And Eli Adams brought down by Steve Ugarkovic.
It was a bit cynical from Ugarkovic then. He had got away from his defender, then lost possession. You can see here, just clips the back of the heel.
And it's O'Shea dipping it to that back post. Scramble. Well, everyone lost sight of the ball except James Troisi. And again, Western Sydney Wanderers looking suspect from the set piece.
Yeah, they haven't got going yet, the Wanderers. That was really good delivery. As we see it swung in, and as you said, really it was Johnny Katrimbas who got the first connection to the ball. James Troisi played it to safety.
Russell, and now Ugarkovic as the run outside of Carluccio. Doubles back to the outside, and now with Tate Russell. Tried to slip in Troisi. Russell, one of very few Wanderers out there who his contract lasts beyond this season. Carluccio, strong challenge, and then Troisi. It spills for Nazarene. Now Adama Traore, his touch lets him down. Would you believe Adama Traore, his last goal was back in 2017 in the Swiss Cup final for Basel. It's been a while. What
all between drinks, isn't it?
Well, what a night to score. Ugarkovic. And now Ziggy Gordon finding Johnny Katrumbas. Here is the aforementioned Traore and Troisi. Now Bacchus, who will play his final match for Western Sydney tonight. He's off to Scotland with St Mirren. So it's going to be all change for Western Sydney heading into next season, you would anticipate, because a number of these players out there tonight off contract. Mark Rudan probably about to undertake an overhaul of this roster. Troisi looking for the run of Russell, and now falls for Carluccio. Sprays it wide.
Yeah, hopeful strike there from Carluccio. You can see what he was trying to do, get a bit of reverse swing on the volley to the far top corner. Didn't connect with it as he would have liked. Interesting clearance. There was a little bit of passive defending on the edge of the box from Brisbane Roar. Make sure you deal with first ball and second ball.
Jordan Holmes looking for Eli Adams. Ziggy Gordon getting his head in the way. Another man very experienced in the cup competitions, the Wanderers centre back. Over 40 matches, including that time in Scotland. Mainly with Hamilton Accies, as Nick Olsen trying to go around Tate Russell, who knocks it up towards Hemed. That's a neat link up with Carluccio. He got jammed in there by Chapman. He may be fortunate not to go into the book. Kai Truan as well. It was a Brisbane Roar sandwich there, and Carluccio couldn't squeeze through.
Yeah, it's a great little combination there. Carluccio was at full steam. That was, again, cynical from Kai Truan.
Almost both of them. Chapman had the arm under the ribs, and Truan as well. Maybe Kurt Adams just couldn't decide who to give the card to. They both played half a roll each.
Good little combination, though, from Tomer Hemed and Carluccio.
So, Ugarkovic. And they find something from this set piece. It's Nazarene, the deflection, and it's in. And would you believe it? It's Jared Carluccio once again. 2 goals in a week for the 21-year-old, and he scores on his cup debut.
Well, didn't he adjust so well, Carluccio? He earned the foul for his team, and then he was on the end of a wicked deflection, but he had to readjust his body and got it into the back of the net. As we see here, Remy Nazarene really put some venom behind that, deflected off the wall, and Carluccio knew exactly what he was doing. He kept his eye on the ball all the way off the deflection. Just adjusts his body there and guides it home beautifully past the outstretched arm of Jordan Holmes.
Well, just showing exactly why he was back into the starting side tonight after that goal against MacArthur on Sunday. A local lad, born in Liverpool, youth football here in Blacktown with the Spartans. And you know, he's a coach as well, Mossy. He does a little bit of coaching as well for the Western Rage, who play in the Football New South Wales League 3. So he's not just a wonderful football player, he's also doing some coaching work as well, Carluccio.
He can't be a coach. He's not got a grey hair on his head.
Well, he's
I don't believe it.
He's only 21. There's still some time for that to occur, Bossy. You haven't got too many grey hairs that I can see.
All silver, all silver. But he can put that finish in his coaching manual and show it to the players that he coaches, because that was really well dealt with. That ball was coming at a rate of knots, deflected off the wall. He had to watch it all the way under his forehead, readjust his body.
And now Brisbane Roar must try and find something. You could say a little unfortunate, the deflection off this man, Adams, who's looking to feed it into the box. Bills for O'Shea! And just over the bar from the Irishman.
Well, really, it was the Western Sydney defending that opened that opportunity for O'Shea. Just with the poor clearance. It was Ellie Adams bursting down the left-hand side, who whipped the cross in. He kept it nice and low. You've got to clear the danger to safer places in the edge of your box, particularly with the likes of Jay O'Shea lurking.
Parsons looking to penetrate the Western Sydney backline now. It's a free kick. Almost in, or close to the position that Wanderers had their free kick down the other end. Really manhandled there, Parsons by Traore.
Well, it's a perplexing foul to give away by Traore with his experience. Attacking player was really posing no real threat.
So the man always burdened with the set pieces here for Brisbane Roar. As it's over hit to the back post, Lescano couldn't keep it inside the line. And Western Sydney get away with that set piece giveaway. Adama Traore. And then Bacchus floating it out in front of Russell. Ziggy Gordon.
Step up! Thomas, higher! Press! Press! Good. Go.
Back to Holmes. Looks long, his first cup appearance in the Australia Cup. Last played in 2019 in the FA Cup with Ebbsfleet United, where he spent some time over in the UK. Of course, before that was with Bournemouth. Was on the bench for one Premier League match against Manchester United. Didn't appear in any EPL clashes. And Adams is feeding Olsen. Returning it to Adams, who goes low. Spills now for Chapman. And here's O'Shea using Zabala. And Parsons just got himself in the way, maybe trying to deflect it, trying to control it, just in two minds, and it all comes unstuck.
Well, it's another example of Brisbane Roar getting into good areas down this left-hand side. Western Sydney's right-hand side. But the delivery into the box, again on that occasion from Ellie Adams.
Good run being made here by Nazarene. Truen had to be across. The flag comes up very, very late. But of course, there is no VAR, so that isn't required tonight. But Kai Truen wasn't to know that. Look at the engines on this young man. 20 years of age, he's already played over 50 matches in the A-League Men's. Bright future ahead of him. Gordon just lumping it. Well, Connor Chapman just not on the same wavelength. We know he's only played a few matches for Brisbane, just the 4 in the A-League Men's after recovering from that calf injury after he was signed from FC Seoul. First appearance in the Cup for Brisbane. All his 7 previous appearances for Melbourne City. Here's a free kick, this time won by the goal scorer. Can't afford to keep giving these away, Brisbane. Especially considering in the A-League Men's this season, they had conceded 16 goals from set pieces.
Yeah, that's right, and that's just not the area to go diving in, is it?
Ugarkovic is floating it to Russell, who's just angling it up, and Holmes was strong. It was a crowd of bodies. It was a challenging one for the Roar keeper.
Well, he dealt with that quite well, did Jordan Holmes. They didn't deal with the first phase very well at all. Tate Russell got himself free on that back post. Was able to let the ball drop onto his foot to volley it back across the face.
Traore skips past a couple. He did all the hard work and then played it straight to Brisbane's Player of the Year this season, Jay O'Shea. Won the Gary Wilkins medal last week. Good desperation from Lescano. But won back now by Western Sydney. Ugarkovic, again the overlap with Russell and Hamed. The flick on Troisi. It came out of a cannon, but it wasn't on target.
Well, he's got to do better with that for me, Troisi. He's a quality player. We know he's got the capability 100% to find the back of the net from there. Just snatched at it, but what a wonderful layoff from Tomer Hamed. Knew exactly what he was doing, cushioned it with the outside of his foot. And it sat perfectly for James Troisi. Great delivery from Tate Russell, as you can see on the replay. And that is at a very good height for someone like James Troisi.
See Juan Lescano just getting up off the turf, throwing his body around in these early stages, which is good to see from a Brisbane side of things. That is drilled by Troisi. Grass is a little long, so it's going to sit there for Russell. Ugarkovic angles back away from Akbari.
Mark Rudin barking those instructions. Carlucci on that occasion, make a forward run. That's what's going to stretch that Brisbane Roar defensive line.
Russell trying to do so here, again beating Adams. And it gets eventually across to Hamed. Troisi has Russell along the turf. Sliding in was Aldred, and he gets up frustrated with his defence.
Well, first of all, let's marvel at the brilliance of both Tomer Hamed and James Troisi. That's a wonderful ball in behind for Tate Russell from James Troisi. A little bit of trickery at first from Hamed, found Troisi, and that was brilliant awareness, vision and execution of a final pass.
Yeah, Eli Adams, he's been impressive at the back end of this season, but Russell just has his measure at the moment. This is Nazarine's corner, and it's high. Aldred didn't do enough, fell for Katrumbis, and then he couldn't get a shot on goal, and Nick Olsen gets it to safety.
Tom Aldred barking at his fellow defenders because Brisbane Roar just look a little bit susceptible in their own area. Just not dealing with what Western Sydney Wanderers are offering up.
And you can see in these early stages how Sucks how suspect Brisbane have been on the set pieces once again there. It's been one of their Achilles heel this season. For a team that, for their position on the ladder, their defence hasn't been quite as bad as that. 7th most goals conceded, or I should say the 7th best defence this season for a side that finished the season in 11th. That's all right, but they can't be giving away cheap goals from set pieces.
No, that's right. And particularly in big games. You know, so many big games, whether they're finals or cup games, are decided by set pieces. We've already seen a goal tonight for Western Sydney Wanderers, albeit from a deflection. It was a set piece that broke the game open.
Chapman is skewing it wide to Louis Zabala. And now it's O'Shea searching for Akbari, and Ugarkovic just got deceived maybe by the spin of the ball. Here's Nick Olsen. Seeing Eli Adams, early delivery. Traore got there in front of Parsons. Spills out for Zabala. And the dink is favourable for Mahias.
That was better delivery for me from Eli Adams on the left-hand side. He's got into that area now 3 or 4 times this half.
It's end-to-end football at the moment. Nazarene to Russell. Tate Russell has scored a spectacular cup goal before. It was a while ago, back against Sydney United in 2019, looking for another one there.
I just wonder if he couldn't have taken that on his right foot, maybe even first time. The ball was played into his path. Full steam ahead on the right-hand side, Tate Russell. He decided to cut it back inside onto his left foot.
He's been busy early on, Tate Russell. Probably say winning that battle over the young Eli Adams thus far.
Yeah, well, Eli Adams and Nick Olsen have had to put up with Tate Russell and Carluccio on their side of the pitch, and both have been very lively for Western Sydney Wanderers as soon as they got themselves into the game.
Zabala, free down the right once again. Connor Chapman. And Aldred just spied some space with Troisi rushing forward. Linking with Parsons, Lescano. Here is O'Shea. And Trewin just fired it forward to Eli Adams. Good use of the body there from Carluccio.
Really good use of the body from Carluccio, showing that he can not only have an impact going forward, but he knows his defensive responsibilities as well. Used his body well, but gee, that was set in motion, that attack from Brisbane, by a fantastic surging run from central defender Tom Aldred.
So Western Sydney Wanderers 1-0 up at the moment, looking for a spot in the round of 32. This is why they do lead. That deflection off Eli Adams, Jared Carluccio, good reflexes to get his head, craned it back and nodded it in at the back post. 2 goals in a week for Carluccio.
Well, he's made it look easy, hasn't he? That deflection off the knee or the thigh of Eli Adams in the wall. They're not easy to deal with. Watch the ball all the way onto the forward.
Well, that was the good news for Western Sydney. This, not so. Adama Traore just struggling But he is about to head back out there. Stephen Lucas about to allow him back out onto the park once Kurt Ams gives him the all clear. Hamed and Troisi, just a lack of support for James Troisi. Aldred getting himself about. And now Akbari swiftly forward to Alex Parsons. 2 goals in his last 4 matches. All of those in the A-League men's competition. Here is Chapman. And now Louis Zabala versus Nazarene. Shaping and then eventually crossing, and Gordon takes the safety first approach.
That's good play down the right-hand side from Louis Zabala. Just working his angles to get that half a yard and whip across into a dangerous area.
Yes, part of a strong crop of Aussie schoolboys back in 2018. Max Ballard, Harry McCarthy. This corner is whipped in dangerously. Mejias came for the punch. It was cleared off the line. Well, both teams, you can see why they finished towards the bottom in the A-League men. Suspect at set pieces.
Yeah, great delivery. Mejias comes and doesn't get anything on it. And then I think it's Stephen Ugarkovic who clears it off the line.
Did he punch it into Hamed's head, or did it just brush off the knuckles back towards his own goal? Whatever it was clumsy from a goalkeeper who hasn't had a great season, has he? He's got one of the lowest save percentages across the A-League men's, the Spanish keeper. And Carluccio burning away from Trewin, bending it low. Holmes got there, off the line, and again from Brisbane. That's an incredible defensive effort from the Roar. Desperation to keep their hopes of reaching the round of 32 alive.
Well, what a remarkable passage of play. I think Western Sydney, and again it's that man Carluccio bursting down the right. Jordan Holmes gets a hand to it. Nazarene can't put it away. Hamed can't put it away. Brisbane Roar bodies everywhere. They'll be wondering how they kept it out. Western Sydney will be wondering how they didn't stick it away. Did some heroics on the goal line there.
We'll mark that moment down, Mossy. 28 minutes in, Western Sydney, 95 times out of 100, it would be 2-0. 5% of the time it's not, and that's tonight. But the concerning thing for Brisbane is the way they've been unlocked so easily down their left, Western Sydney's right.
Yeah, and it's down to that man Carluccio and Tate Russell coming from behind. And the creativity of Jimmy Troisi in midfield. They're providing the service for those boys on the right to do their damage.
Now it's Traore. He's trying to get the left-hand edge going here for Western Sydney. As the fog descends, the ball pops out. And now Hamed wriggling past a couple. Blocked again by Brisbane. Gee, they seem to be on life support at the moment. They are struggling massively to keep Western Sydney at bay.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say the Western Sydney goal completely knocked the stuffing out of Brisbane, but it certainly disrupted their momentum. They started very brightly, Brisbane, but that goal has swung the momentum in Western Sydney's way, and now they are coming home in the last part of this first half with a wet sail.
Ugarkovic. Cross to Nazarene, the run of Traore. Well, it's all hands to the pump at the moment for Brisbane. It's wave after wave from Wanderers.
They had 9 bodies in the box then, Brisbane, to deal with that, which they did. It's the ease with which Western Sydney are starting to punch holes that will concern Warren Moon.
Brisbane looking to punch some holes of their own, but that ball's beaten everyone over the byline. Carluccio again. Gee, Mark Rudin has to be pleased with what he's seeing from his side in this first half an hour. Of course, a match of football's 90 minutes, but It's bright signs for the team that he took over back in February. It was actually after Brisbane beat Western Sydney 3-0. Russell. Absolutely dominating possession at the moment, Western Sydney. It's been hard to get a read on them the back end of this season. Just one win in their last 10, but only 3 losses in that period as well. 6 draws, so they've been hard to beat, but they have given up a lot of leads, and that will be the key for them tonight to go on with it now they've scored the opening goal. Lescano and Gordon, 2 tough international recruits coming together.
Well, when Mark Rudin took over, he talked about returning the DNA to the Western Sydney Wanderers shirt. And it was on for young and old right in front of him right then with Ziggy Gordon. Wonderful defender's challenge. Absolutely desperate to win that one-on-one battle then. And you've seen that shining through, Ben. Since Rudin took over, there is certainly more of a bounce in the step. There is certainly more of a grit and determination about the Wanderers have gone about their business. Haven't got the results to make the finals, but that's the very first ingredient of the rebuild. Big job in the off-season.
Well, that's what they'll be hoping, that the concrete's been laid and they can take the next steps to building themselves towards finals. Can you believe it? 5 seasons. 5 without finals for Western Sydney. When I heard that stat, I could not believe it, because it seems like it's not that long ago, but that's how long it's been.
It's unthinkable, really. And when you come out here to Wanderers Football Park tonight, and you look around this facility and everything that their owner and chairman, Paul Lederer, has given the football club, it's simply not good enough. He knows that, the staff know that, the coaching staff know that. It's got to run right through the club.
Nick Olsen was played in the Cup previously with Sydney United back in 2017. Ugarkovic bumped his way past Zabala. Hamed dropping in. Sees the run here of Tate Russell. It's been at the heart of everything positive in this first half from Western Sydney. Tate Russell, and he puts Adams on his backside. He's just turning him left and right.
Well, that attack was set up firstly by some wonderful work in midfield from Tomer Hamed. Beautiful turn out of pressure to switch the point of the attack and set them off down their right-hand side, Western Sydney. Eli Adams is certainly getting a bit of a lesson in senior football when it comes to the physical side of the game as well.
And now it's Nazarene chipping towards that back post, but no one there to get on the end of it.
Here we see Tate Russell and Eli Adams. Tate Russell just swatting him away. Great experience for Eli Adams, though.
Well, his legs just gave up on him. They said, no, 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 thanks. I've had enough of these in the first half. And he's had some positive moments going forward, Eli, but defensively, Tate Russell has given him a real workout tonight.
He has. He's got himself into some good areas. The execution, final pass, delivered 1 or 2 good crosses. 2 or 3 that he'd probably change his decision if he had his time again.
Russell and nutmegs Ugarkovic. Well, normally you don't nutmeg a teammate, but he did on that occasion.
Just not sure he was expecting that ball to clear Nazarene then, Stephen Ugarkovic.
We can't blame the fog as well. That's dropped. As Adams low and straight to Mejia. So another counter-attacking opportunity for Brisbane.
Well, that's a really good moment for Eli Adams. Then he did muscle up. He did use his pace and his long stride to get in behind. Unfortunately, he was too quick for his teammates. There was no real options in the middle to hit.
So Mejias spent some time with Real Madrid and played 1 match for them back in the 2011 La Liga season. Also in the championship for Middlesbrough. And just hasn't shown that quality, Mossy, this season, the Western Sydney goalkeeper. And the issue moving forward is, will he be back next year? Because you want to fill your visa spots with quality, and if a goalkeeper's not doing their job, as we've seen this year, save percentage right down, it's probably not going to stick around.
No, that's right. No, look, he's definitely got the quality. If you've played for Real Madrid, you've played for Real Madrid. But certainly Daniel Margush is a local goalkeeper who's done well when he's had his opportunities. A couple of mistakes here and there, of course, but that's normal. You certainly want to make sure, and the A-League must have their foreigners playing week in, week out. Otherwise they're taking the spot of a local player.
So a bit of thinking to do for Western Sydney Wanderers coaching staff, and there is Daniel Margush, sitting deep in the Wanderers bench. Did have that unfortunate moment against Brisbane earlier this season, where he was red carded and Brisbane scored a late equaliser through Jay O'Shea. So the fog is back again. Ziggy Gordon and Russell.
That fog really adding to the cup atmosphere here at the ground tonight, Ben.
Could you explain, Mossy, how it disappears and then reappears? Just keeps rolling in from the south. You got any kind of meteorology background in you that you can lend a hand?
None whatsoever. Not even going to pretend to make something up that makes sense. But there's been a good intensity about this first half as we wind down to the 40th minute. 5 minutes plus injury time to go with this first half. A really good intensity. Both teams have been moving the ball around well. Western Sydney weathered that early storm from Brisbane.
Yeah, nice night for football. Good venue for this kind of clash. Solid crowd in as well. Just adding to a nice evening of cup football in the playoff in the Australia Cup. First time it has been called the Australia Cup in this edition of the competition. 8th time since it re-emerged back in 2014 as the FFA Cup.
Connor Chapman's playing a very interesting role for Warren Moon.
Nick Olsen's won his side a throw here. Do a bit of a deep dive into that after we see what Brisbane can conjure up here. Can they find an equaliser in the final 5 before half-time? One man that could create it is Jay O'Shea, but that delivery too comfortable for Mahias.
Yeah, Connor Chapman, sometimes he's in the back line, sometimes he's in midfield. I've seen him pressing high at times tonight. I've seen him making a forward run from midfield past the front line. Seems to have a very free role. He's a very disciplined player, of course. And one of the key attributes of his first half has been a couple of switches of play that he sprayed a good 60, 70 metres.
He's playing very high up the pitch at the moment, almost as a striker there alongside Lescano. So fascinating to watch how that plays out this evening as Holmes up towards Chapman. Lescano certainly got a shove in the back. And then O'Shea overhits towards Parsons. Probably fair enough that Brisbane earn a free kick there for the way Lescano was met in the back.
Yeah, I'm probably with you there, Ben, for once. I won't argue with you over a refereeing decision or a non-decision in that instance. But yeah, it is a very interesting role that Warren Moon's got Connor Chapman playing.
O'Shea, here is Eli Adams. Tried to knock it back to O'Shea. Eventually got there. And now here's Trewin. Captain Aldred looking to now explore the right-hand edge. So fluid in that final third. You could see Eli Adams really pushing up. And now O'Shea making the run, but Trewin uses Olsen, and he's bending it across towards Eli Adams. Ricochets out to Akbari. And now Zabala was playing on the right. And now they header away from Katrumbis. Trewin running out of options. Eventually opting for Zabala.
Well, if you want to know what a defensive training drill looks like during the week, this is it for Western Sydney Wanderers.
And Parsons trying to barge his way through. Lescano has an open goal, and how did he miss? How did the Argentine miss? He scored from that kind.
Well, we talked about the defensive structure. They got picked apart there. And it's that man, Jay O'Shea, driving in, or Alex Parsons, I beg your pardon, and it falls for Lescano, who does so well to fashion the opportunity, and then just fluffs his lines, keeps his feet. And then just that little stumble at the end there, just before he strikes the ball, seems to be all important and costly. And he knows it. What an opportunity to put his team level just on the stroke of half-time.
Especially after they weathered the Wanderers' storm. They were throwing everything at Brisbane. They created so many chances, probably around the half-hour mark. It should have been 2-0 at least. They got through that. They could have been level. They could still be level. Eli Adams, watched by Ziggy Gordon. And it's going to be a goal kick. Well, Eli Adams, he befuddled himself there. He was in two minds, and the call goes Wanderers' way, and it looked to be the right decision.
Yeah, and it's well defended too by Ziggy Gordon. He did go to ground maybe a little bit too early, but he waited for his chance to have a nip at the ball. Such a competitor, Ziggy Gordon, isn't he?
So just a 1 minute of additional time. That reminded me of one of those bad dreams where it's like, don't touch the ball, don't touch it, and your foot just touches it. And unfortunately for Eli Adams, it resulted in it being a goal kick. It's like those ones where you're trying to outrun a snake or something, and you have those ones, Bossy?
No.
I'll leave my dreams for the moment. Adama Traore. Free kick here for Western Sydney. So the dying embers of this first half. Jared Carluccio's goal inside the opening 10 minutes. The difference between these two teams at the moment. And what a good reflex header it was from the 21-year-old. So Western Sydney, they are halfway there into the round of 32. Mark Rudan, he's never won a cup match with an A-League men's club. Well, he is a step closer now after that goal inside the opening 10 minutes from Jared Carluccio after the deflected set piece off Eli Adams was knotted in at the back post, and he scored his second goal in a week. Half-time at Wanderers Sportspark. Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Brisbane Roar 0. And we will be back after the break with all the first half analysis with myself and Phil Moss. We'll catch you on the other side. 2017 for Adelaide, won the competition in 2018 and 2019 with the Reds. Out there now for Brisbane. So Demi and Mila Jusnic. Cyrus Demi, of course, made his debut in the Cup for Brisbane. Of course, scored a hat-trick in the competition last year. Really rose to prominence through this competition with that hat-trick against Lions. Hadn't scored in the A-League Men's across the season just gone. So Brisbane looking to get themselves back into this Cup tie and back into the round of 32 in the Australia Cup. And Thomas Mahias quickly up the ground, looking for the run of Tom Hamed. Where do you feel is their best avenue to an equaliser, Mossy?
Well, certainly Warren Moon is not going to die wondering tonight with those 3 substitutions coming off the bench. Cyrus Demi, you know I'm a fan of his. I've really enjoyed watching him in games for Brisbane this season, and we know that Luka Ivanovic has got goals in him as well. So it's those fresh legs. Can they upset the rhythm of Western Sydney Wanderers? And really, they've had their chances, Brisbane. Just haven't converted.
5 goals across the A-League Men's season just gone for Nikola Milajusnic. 5 goals in 14 in the Australia Cup for him as well. So touched on where he has scored those goals, including in the final back in 2017. Carluccio not earning the whistle here of Kurt Ams. He's let play go on tonight, the referee, and I don't mind that. Haven't heard the whistle too often tonight. Now Hamed, and now feeding Carluccio again, and he just lifted the ball up and over the bar.
Well, it's a creativity of Hamed that's causing Brisbane problems again. Look at that with the outside of his right foot. And that's a great opportunity for Carluccio. He just didn't get his head over it and have the belief that he was going to hit the target. Another good opening for Western Sydney.
Don't forget, for all the results in the Australia Cup, head to australiacup.com.au. You can check how things are faring across the country in the race for the round of 32. And it's heating up across the nation. So it'll be just 10 A-League men's clubs left after tonight. And then the final 22 spots will be filled by NPL clubs or even sides outside the NPL in some instances. So it should be a fascinating watch over the coming months before the round of 32 gets underway in July. It's good to have the round of 32 back in July as well, Mossy, because it just allows NPL clubs and clubs below that to be in their regular season, not outside, as was the case for the Cup competition last year.
That's right, and it gives the A-League clubs a really meaningful pre-season as well, something to aim for in what is a long pre-season. But I think everyone's just looking forward to some form of normality in a season next year. Next season, I should say.
Nazarene sees the run of Ugarkovic. He has some serious engine, Steve. Ugarkovic bearing down on goal. And just the final option was lacking.
Well, the final option was lacking, but I'm not sure I agree with the run of choice from Jared Carluccio. I thought he ran past the near post and didn't really keep the space open for Ugarkovic to deliver into. It was a good burst down the left-hand side from Ugarkovic out of midfield, filling the space left by the Brisbane Roar fullback.
Well, here he is again, Carluccio, getting himself about, making life a little bit tricky for Nick Olsen. Actually came through Western Sydney Wanderers Academy, did the Brisbane Roar left fullback, Nick Olsen. And here he is, getting involved. Went over to Q8, played there, and now back in the A-League men's with Brisbane Roar. Ivanovic just skirting the sideline. O'Shea racked up the assists in the A-League Men's this season. You can see why he invites that kind of pressure and now wins a free kick.
Well, he waited, and there was going to be a big blow-up between Jay O'Shea and Kurt Ams if the whistle didn't go. But it did in the end, and Jay O'Shea just using his experience there to draw the foul. This is in a really good area for Brisbane.
Well, Mossy, it's almost identical to where Western Sydney scored from in the first half. Almost the same time in the second half as it was in the first. With the mist around. Just wonder, could something happen here as O'Shea is bending Mahias with the punch? Will allow a corner for Brisbane here.
It was good delivery from Jay O'Shea. Just bent it into an area. Thomas Mahias had to deal with it. He did enough, but Western Sydney from that same spot went with the left foot. Remy Nazarene. On that occasion, it was the right-footed outswinger.
O'Shea has the short option. He's not going to take it. And he's bending it to Aldred. Deflection, it's in! It's Cyrus Demi! The Cup specialist scores again! And Brisbane are back level.
Well, they've gone for the deep delivery that time. Jay O'Shea right to the back post. Tom Aldred gets up so well at the back post to flick it back across the face of goal. Gets an unkind deflection off Katrimbas, I think it is, and Demi makes no mistake from close range. Johnny Katrimbas couldn't deal with the header back across the face from Aldred, who showed great strength. And Cyrus Demi, Johnny on the spot to tuck it home.
Well, isn't it incredible? A young man who did not score across the entire A-League Men's campaign. He played 14 matches and he comes back to the Cup where he scored a hat-trick last year and he scores.
Yeah, sometimes there is no rhyme nor reason.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because it's still a game of football, Mossy, but the competition, you just feel, would have just given him a little bit of a lift after what he did last season, where he came to prominence with that hat-trick against Lions. And hasn't he pulled Brisbane back into this one?
He certainly has. But I've been really impressed with him in the A-League as well when he's come off the bench. I just think he adds such an energy, a different dimension. He's a strong lad. Here comes that goal again. You see Aldred, he's 2v1 and he still wins the header on the back post, nods it back across the face.
And now Zabala curling it across. Real problems for Western Sydney Wanderers. Cyrus Demi, still a teenager, 19 years of age, from the Cote d'Ivoire, and he was born in Liberia, moved to the Cote d'Ivoire and then to Australia in his younger days, and he was actually coached at Churchies by Warren Moon. Here he is getting about again. 4 seasons with Brisbane's youth academy, so Warren Moon obviously holds him in such high regard.
Yeah, and I'm certainly in no doubt as to why. But really, you've got to give a lot of credit to Tom Aldred as well for the part that he played in that goal. He was 2v1, outnumbered at the back post, had to use real strength to get up and get the purchase on the header to get it back across the face of goal.
Demi versus Carluccio, and Mahias is out. And this has to give Brisbane lots of confidence heading into next season, because yes, it wasn't a fantastic campaign this year, but how often did they have this kind of side on the park? Likes of Mile Jusnic, Ivanovic, O'Shea. Tom Aldred was injured for a large portion of the season with that knee issue. So there's some real bright signs for Brisbane heading into the 22-23 A-League Men's season.
Yeah, they've certainly got some really good ingredients for a good foundation of a side. All top sides need that 15 to 20 goal striker a season. No doubt Warren Moon will be acutely aware of that if you're really going to challenge for titles. But some really bright talent coming through.
Trumbus almost spilled all the way through for Hamed, but good smarts there from Tom Aldred.
Just wonder at what stage Mark Rudin will start to look to his bench. Likes of Bernie Abini, Ogawa, Lapane, Jack Rodwell, of course.
And now Gordon. So where do Western Sydney Wanderers go from here? Think about just before the half-hour mark, they led 1-0 after 10. They could have been 2-0 up. Now Mark Rudin goes to his bench and Jack Rodwell just looking to change things up. Ivanovic, back to Jordan Holmes. And just to touch on Cyrus Demi, as we were touching on before, so his parents were born in Liberia. He was born in the Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, which means he's eligible for both countries as he's chasing this, and also Australia as well. So he has a few to pick from, Mossy, there, Cyrus. And we know Ramad Akbari, similar situation as well, born in Afghanistan. He's represented Australia at youth level. And he's actually represented Afghanistan in a couple of matches friendly, so he can still technically be picked for Australia. Unless he plays in a FIFA tournament, then that will be his country of choice. So yeah, we have such a diverse footballing community in this country, and it's so exciting, isn't it? Valentino, you can throw him into the mix as well, playing for South Sudan.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, isn't it? It really is, but I'm sure on Cyrus Demi, he'll get those choices to make should he get himself into the starting 11 and start scoring goals on a regular basis for Brisbane Roar.
Ivanovic, unsighted was Mejias, and Luke Ivanovic has 2 in 2, and Brisbane, they've blown Wanderers away early in the second half.
Well, look at this. Luke Ivanovic has one thing in his mind. How do I get it onto my left foot, get half a yard? And doesn't he strike that well? And again, it's that man, Connor Chapman, who finds himself in a striker's position, who onside gets himself away from the line of the ball. And that is why Mejias was unsighted. Look at Connor Chapman and the role he played there. As Ivanovic drives inside, good strike on the ball. Connor Chapman clears the passage for the ball to find the back of the net, and credit to Warren Moon. He went with 3 substitutions at half-time, and boy, haven't they paid off.
I was just about to say, Warren Moon, an absolute coaching masterclass at half-time. Ivanovic, Demi, half-time subs, both of them score in the first 15 minutes of the second half. And now Mark Rudin has gone to his bench. Lapane and Ogawa thrust out onto Wanderers Football Park. And now Western Sydney must fight back. What a turnaround in this second half. Western Sydney utterly dominant for the first 40 minutes. Probably could have been up by 2, maybe 3. Now they're down 2-1. Traore, early delivery. Trewin with the clearance away. All of a sudden, it just seems to be a little bit more intensity about Western Sydney Wanderers. They've been given the jolt of life because they seem to be sleepwalking almost to the round of 32, Mossy. But you can't sleepwalk at this level.
You certainly can't. I know we're getting to the later hours of a Friday night, but you switch off, you go to sleep at your own peril.
Katrumbis and Bacchus brought to ground. What are you saying? There might be some people sleepwalking in a few hours, Mossy. Sleepwalking home.
You never know where this game's going to go from here, but certainly credit to Warren Moon. He really rolled the dice at half-time with that triple substitution. All attacking players, and it certainly shifted momentum. That's exactly what you want as a coach. Now Mark Rudin has replied in kind from his bench.
Well, it can either be a masterstroke or you look like a dunce. And those substitutions from Warren Moon look like a masterstroke, and Mark Rudin is hoping that he can turn the tide with the changes he has just made. As we touched on pre-game, he hasn't won a cup match at the helm of an A-League men's club. Ugarkovic, that pass just to no one in particular, apart from Kai Trewin. And now Luka Ivanovic. Look at the acres around him, and look at the space down the left now for Brisbane. They are powering through Mila Jusnic. It could have been 3-1. Maybe that's the asterisk for Brisbane. What an opportunity for them to go 2 goals ahead.
Yeah, huge, big transition moment for Brisbane there. Tate Russell caught forward. They exploited the space that was left by him with Mila Jusnic getting free down that left-hand side for Brisbane. You can see him cutting inside. You can see exactly what he's trying to do. Bend it into that far bottom corner. Doesn't get enough bend on it. But interesting, with those substitutions, Western Sydney lose their target man in Hamed.
Ugarkovic just made his way between the lines. Lapane has a beautiful right boot. He'll get another shot at it. Alessandro Lapane eventually was forced into a cul-de-sac by the Brisbane defence. And he's still being forced out there. No way through. Oh, that's, well, it was brilliant, it seemed, for Brisbane, but it will be a throw for the home team.
Well, it would have been brilliant if the pitch was a little bit wider. But they just had weight of numbers, didn't they, Brisbane, inside their box. It just forced Lapane away from the danger area.
Ugarkovic now, Katrumbis beating O'Shea for pace. Traore. And just overhit by Troisi. Things just not going to plan for Western Sydney. Gee, they looked irrepressible in the first 30 minutes, Mossy. And we're talking about that confidence for next season, but a football match is 90 minutes, not half an hour.
That's right, they really dominated possession, didn't they? West Sydney, they were very comfortable for all but probably the first 10 minutes of that first half. How the game has changed.
O'Shea, Rodwell trying to get himself about, and then Bacchus just nudges it out to Tate Russell, who was so lively in the first half. We've barely touched on him in the second. Just shows you how much the chances from a Wanderers perspective have dried up. And Brisbane trying to turn around what's been a terrible away record this season. Just 1 win in 13 trips outside of the Sunshine State in the A-League Men's this season. Well, this is going to plan at the moment in the Australia Cup. Rodwell looks up. We know the kind of cup competitions he's played in. FA Cup final back in 2013 with Manchester City. So much experience. Troisi along the tarmac. Aldred sliding in. He just brings so much grit to this side, Tom Aldred, doesn't he?
Grit and leadership. You can just imagine his voice in the dressing room at halftime, along with the coach, Warren Moon.
You'd just grow a foot taller, wouldn't you, as a player? And he's going to be barking out to his team. Aldred got up, just did enough to put off the header and was comfortable enough for Jordan Holmes. Traore back, Gordon. And Ugarkovic looking for the run of Ogawa on loan from Yokohama FC. Will he be still at Wanderers next season? That is up to his Japanese club. And here is Rodwell. As I mentioned, 2013 FA Cup final, Mossy. Played for Man City. Do you remember who won? Who they played? 2013, it was a famous one.
Go on.
I'll leave it with you for a moment. Here's Rodwell. And then bent around the corner, and it just goes wide. So it'll be a goal kick. Well, Mossy, I've let it hang. They were beaten by Wigan in the final minutes, stoppage time. So, yeah, not a happy FA Cup final for Jack Rodwell, that one. And this is not a happy playoff match in the Australia Cup.
Connor Chapman.
Well, this is a concern because
grabbing at his hamstring.
He had that calf issue once he came back from Korea with FC Seoul. Took him a while to get fit again. And now it's the hamstring causing a problem. Just 4 appearances in the A-League Men's in the season just gone. The only benefit for Brisbane is that he will get a fair bit of time to get it right ahead of next season. But it's not going to help them right now. Henry Hoare, their breakthrough player of the year, won that award at their end of season dinner last week. He's going to come on for Connor Chapman. Looks a little better now, but he will be replaced. So can Henry Hoare get Brisbane roaring towards the round of 32?
Well, we know for sure, nice play on words there, Benjamin, that he has got goals in him, Henry Hoare, and creativity. He's not someone, if you're Western Sydney Wanderers trailing 2-1, that you want to see coming off the bench.
Well, can you believe he hasn't played in the Australia Cup? He's been at South Melbourne. He's also spent some time with Lions. Perth Glory as well in the youth ranks. Never played in the cup competition. Just managed to miss out when the team qualified. He's out there now. And it's Ivanovic, deflected cross. Almost fell for Hoare. It does for Akbari. Well, that would have been a contender for one of the goals of the competition had he popped that one in the top corner.
Well, you could almost lock up goal of the cup competition and throw away the key if that had gone top corner. Almost a wonderful strike from Akbari. His first touch set him up brilliantly. You could see as soon as he looked up, you could see the whites of his eyes.
Well, that would have made it a real tough hike for Western Sydney Wanderers up the mountain of a 2-goal deficit. Now it's Rodwell. Slipping it out wide. Cross drilled in. Bacchus just cushioning it. Now Troisi flashes wide. The fans on the far side knew it was close. From this angle, you knew it was wide, but it's a warning shot that for Brisbane.
Yeah, it's a good first touch from Troisi under pressure. He gets a good strike on the ball. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get the reverse swing on it. Looked like he was trying to just bring it back inside that far post. Kept moving away from goal.
Well, if Agawa got a touch, probably could have been 2-2. The old hockey deflection at the last minute. You just see on the replay here, Ogawa was close. If he gets a touch,
it's in the back of the net if he gets a touch on that. The outside of his right foot, or right boot.
You could say it was the reverse Connor Chapman from the Ivanovic goal. Chapman making a good decision not to get a touch, and it was enough just to ensure Mejias couldn't see the strike. Troisi, well, there's certainly a tug on Aldred, and he earns the free kick, the Brisbane captain. So they're only 20 minutes away, Brisbane, from a cup upset. I don't want to put it in the cup set category, Mossy, if you can understand the distinction there. Happy to go with that. Just because I think they're two evenly matched sides. Wanderers were favourites, but it's not like an NPL side beating an A-League men's side.
No, that's
fair?
right. Yeah, you've got to reserve the old cup set tag for true cup sets. I'll agree with you there, but nonetheless, it'll be a fantastic result for Warren Moon and Brisbane Roar to come from behind, should they continue as is.
Good wide run being made here by Zabala. Aldred goes central to Ivanovic. O'Shea.
Something that's probably gone under the radar a little bit.
Good turn that from Demi, but the free kick spotted by Kurt Ams on Johnny Katrumbis.
Yeah, but just a snapshot of that strength that Demi's got to hold the defender off and create the space for himself. Pinged on that occasion by the referee, Kurt Ams. Something that's gone under the radar a little bit for Brisbane tonight is that leadership of Aldred, Jay O'Shea in particular, to put the belief back in their teammates that they, at halftime, they can get themselves back into this game. And haven't they done it well?
1-0 at halftime. Wanderers seemingly in cruise control to the round of 32. Brisbane did have that late chance through Lescano, but it was a fleeting, bright moment for the Roar. And then in the second half, Demi with the equaliser, Ivanovic with the go-ahead goal, and they're almost there. They're just under 18 minutes, plus stoppage time away from a spot in the round of 32. Competition, as we've said, Warren Moon has done pretty well in the past with NPL clubs, Lions in 2015 and 2018 to the round of 16. And that's a pretty good performance, getting an NPL club that far. Ran into A-League opposition. And then, of course, last season, getting Brisbane to the quarterfinals where they were defeated by Sydney FC.
Oh, it certainly is. It's just such a brilliant competition, isn't it, Ben? Formerly the FFA Cup, now the Australia Cup. Love the name change as well. Just makes sense.
There's nothing quite like it in Australian sport. Russell. And then Aldred. And now Olsen. Going up against Rodwell. Yeah, think about another sport in the country where your team, your park football team, has the potential to play against professionals. Of course, sometimes it's long odds, but we've seen it before.
Well, I lived it in my household just the other week. My son Nathan, who plays for Narrabeen FC in the Manly Warringah Premier League, took on Hakoah FC, one of the most famous clubs in Australian football history. And the buzz on his face going to the game was a sight to be behold. Fair to say they're not in the cup competition any longer, but great experience for him and his teammates.
Rodwell floating it deep. Jugarkovic chiming in again. Johnny Katrumbas. And just leaves that short. Now Cyrus Demi, look at the space ahead here for Brisbane. Well, this would make it very, very challenging for Wanderers if they score here. Ivanovic is on the double. Brisbane may be causing an upset in Western Sydney tonight. And the changes at halftime from Warren Moon have paid off in a massive way.
Well, what about this for a transition moment? Great little back heel there into the path of Demi. He knew he just had to put it in front of Luke Ivanovic, and he was going to do the rest. Never a doubt in his mind where that ball was going to finish Luke Ivanovic. He drew the keeper, Mejias, and he slotted it past him. That is a finish of a striker with heaps of confidence. Brilliant finish, Luke Ivanovic, brilliant.
Well, he's loving the cup as well. 3 goals now in just his second cup appearance. He scored against Peninsula Power in the competition last year, just that one appearance. And now he's got a double tonight, along with Cyrus Demi, who got another cup goal. He's got 4 in his 3 cup appearances. So 2 youngsters who absolutely love the knockout competition. And Western Sydney, well, can you believe it? Well, you probably can if you've watched them the last 5 years, and their fans probably can understand it. The second half sleep, they've hit the snooze button again. How often do we see it? They have a lead. We saw it against the Mariners this year. We saw it against Brisbane this year, late on Mossy. It's becoming a real concern for them. Mentally, they just cannot hold on to a lead. And now Brisbane looking to put some icing on the cake and confirm their spot in the round of 32. Low and hard, and Ziggy Gordon gets it away.
We can look at the issues that Western Sydney have got, but we really should laud what's happened from a Brisbane Roar point of view. The energy off the bench with Demi, with Ivanovic, with Milojuznic has been something to behold. They have really injected something extra special to this Brisbane Roar team in the second half.
Yeah, 100% Warren Moon and his team deserve plenty of credit to this point. And again, the questions are asked of Western Sydney. And that pass from O'Shea, asking too much of Henry Hoare. So more changes from Western Sydney. They have to. Bernie Abini is about to be thrust out there. Tas Mudakudis as well. He scored in the cup competition last year in their most recent match. It was a humbling experience, though, for them. That 2-1 defeat to Apia Leichhardt. Can Bernie Abini produce something? He's had a dismal season. Just the 1 goal in the A-League men's competition. Scored the 1 in the cup for Western Sydney against Broadmeadow Magic. Can he find some confidence in this final match of the season? You've coached him, Mossy. What's the issue for Bernie at the moment?
Without being behind closed doors, I really don't know. It just, you know, it predates Mark Rudin coming to the club. He just seemed out of sorts. He found some really good form at Newcastle, came to Western Sydney. He just hasn't produced what we know he's capable of. He's a wonderful player to work with, Bernie. I'm sure he'll rediscover his form.
Oh, he's such a talented player. We know how much talent he has. Only have to look at his CV. He spent time in Belgium, Korea. Is there an avenue for Wanderers? Back into the game. Ugarkovic got the boot flying. Ivanovic with the clearance away. And Ziggy Gordon is there to nod it towards Russell. Throw earned by Western Sydney. They have not got long. They've got just over 10 minutes of regulation. And out comes Holmes off the deflection of Akbari, favourable for the Roar goalkeeper. We can start to hear the Brisbane Roar fans finding their voice. The red and black block have gone silent.
Certainly have, and I know it's easy with the benefit of hindsight, but you and I are just watching those Brisbane Roar players warming up at half-time. Ivanovic looked very, very sharp in everything that he did.
Well, Tom Aldred into the book, fair enough for the tug back on Bacchus. And now Ivanovic has fallen awkwardly. So 2 goals tonight. Let's hope it doesn't end with an injury for Ivanovic. No, he's straight back up. Just wanted to take a bit of time off the clock, maybe, Mossy.
Well, it was just a wee knock. You can see just as he goes to collect that ball.
What happened? He just seemed to be running so freely and ended up on the turf. Anyway, Ivanovic goes deep to Abini. And he just unleashes and he earns his side a corner. So we know that Brisbane have been a little nervy this season, defending set pieces. They conceded from a set piece in the first half. Is this the moment that could set up a grandstand finish? Ugarkovic wastes no time. Appeals for handball from Western Sydney. It wasn't a loud cry. Traore got himself under it. Ugarkovic beating Milejuznic initially, but he returned Nikola Milejuznic and pinched it back for Brisbane. And now Luka Ivanovic just skating past a couple. Look at the speed and power of Luka Ivanovic, chasing a hat-trick. Tried to feed Demi. My word, he looks so good tonight.
Well, there was just a moment at half-time when Warren Moon came back out from the dressing rooms and he walked over to his substitutes. He gave Luka Ivanovic a high five. It was a warm embrace, not a hug embrace, but it was just a moment, a golden moment, as I call them, between coach and player. And you could just see the glint in Ivanovic's eye. That was the coach's way of probably saying, you're coming on, son, and you're going to go and win us the game. And boy, hasn't he fulfilled that.
It's just aimless, isn't it? It's just an aimless ball from a man who was almost untouchable in the first half, Tate Russell. What has happened? What has happened to Western Sydney? Brisbane, let's say they've been brilliant in this second half, especially in the final third. What's happened for Western Sydney?
Well, they huffed and puffed in the first half and they couldn't blow the house down, in simple terms. And you think back to that chance, Ben, where Nazarene, Hamed couldn't find the back of the net, like the double chance, Aldred clearing off the goal line. That was a huge moment for Western Sydney. That takes them 2-0 up.
Is it as simple as saying, as we just see this free kick going the way of Brisbane, is it as simple as saying when Brisbane were under the pump, they were able to hang tough? When Western Sydney were under the pump in the second half, they weren't able to do likewise?
Well, that's the evidence tonight, isn't it? Certainly, although Western Sydney did survive that early storm from Brisbane Roar in the first 10 minutes of the game, but certainly in this second half, they haven't showed the resilience, I guess, to weather the Brisbane Storm, and that energy that came on at half-time with those 3 substitutions. I keep going back to that because that's a big dice to throw from Warren Moon, and it's paid off handsomely.
Well, they came up with a 6. Ogawa.
It's good refereeing from Kurt Ams. There's no doubt Akbari got a handful of Ogawa's shirt. The clock really starting to be the foe of Western Sydney Wanderers. They need something to happen, and they need it very, very quickly if they're to get back in this game.
Tas Mutakudis. Limited opportunities in the A-League Men's this season. Tate Russell now. No route through for him. Did he burn all his energy in that first half?
Well, look at those 2 banks. 2 defensive banks from Brisbane Roar.
Well, Aldred has to be careful. He's already on a yellow card. He's given away a free kick here for Western Sydney. Mossy, thoughts here? Is that a yellow card?
Jeez. Certainly testing the boundaries, isn't it?
Well,
that's a bookable offence for mine.
Well, it's an absolute fistful of shirt. Tom Aldred asking how. Well, he only has to see the replay to understand why. Can they find something? Ugarkovic low. Not on that occasion for Western Sydney. Well, appeals for handball. He gets away with it, does Mutakudis. Lapane. Ugarkovic. Linking with Lapane. Just passes going awry. There's 2 there. Rodwell. Mutakudis did well to recover. So the sand quickly running through the hourglass here for Western Sydney Wanderers in their cup campaign. Bacchus, can he find something, Bacchus, in his farewell match? Rodwell! That would have been an absolute ripper to get Wanderers back within 1, but again, they can't find the target.
Gee, didn't that have some venom behind it, that strike from Rodwell? But first of all, the one from Bacchus has seen Tom Aldred seeing some stars. There it is there. He gets his noggin in the way. Brave, but look at that from Rodwell. Edge of the box. Gee, he hits that with some venom.
The man with the armband. Trying to lead his side back into this one. But doesn't the man from a Brisbane side with the armband, doesn't that moment just sum up what a player he is for the Roar? Such a wholehearted captain and such a wonderful player to have at the helm of this club, and such a man that they missed for more than half the season, just 12 matches in the A-League Men's campaign.
Yeah, he's certainly been fantastic. It's a coach's dream to have a leader like that in the dressing room and out on the pitch.
Rodwell, that pass too high for Tate Russell. Gee, it's just really fallen apart in a big way for Western Sydney. Just real one-out opportunities lately. That Rodwell strike as close as they've come, Mark Rudan's team, for quite a while. Still chasing his first win in the cup competition as an A-League Men's head coach. And he may have to wait another season by the looks of things at the moment. You sense the rebuild is just about to begin for Western Sydney. Ugarkovic earns a throw.
It is a huge, huge off-season for Western Sydney Wanderers. Mark Ruden's already gone public saying the side will look very different next season. But from Warren Moon's point of view, a lot to be excited about when it comes to next season. Having some building blocks in place.
Ludakudis saw the run of Russell. And the story of this second half continues for Western Sydney as we move into this first minute of 5 of additional time. Luka Vanovic, the hero for Brisbane in this second half. And Brisbane's goal from here will be to at least get to the stage they were in the cup competition last year, knocked out in the quarterfinals by Sydney. That's their best ever cup run previously, knocked out in the round of 32 and round of 16. So they want to get themselves at least to the final 8 and maybe even to a first semi-final or final. Russell bending it. Ogawa got up. A chance maybe for Traore, and it flashes across the face of goal. That's a ball boy killer.
Yeah, look, you can't blame him for taking a pot shot there, Traore. The ball flashes across the face of goal. Could have hit someone and gone in. Bernie Abini, Ogawa were both there. At the end of the day, the pace beat everyone. It really will be that period of the first half. The second 2/3 of that first half was where Western Sydney had their opportunity to win this game. Some great opportunities to score goals, didn't take them. And that allowed Brisbane back into it in the second half.
Aldred backtracking, True in there to save the day. That ball will take some returning.
He's been outstanding tonight, Tom Aldred. I know we've mentioned him a couple of times, rightly so, but he has just been an absolute rock, and there he is again in the heart of that defence. And don't forget, it was he that got up to win the header at the back post to get Brisbane back in the game through the demi goal.
Abini getting up, Brindle South, his clearance away. Traore back into the mix. Abini was about, so was Ugarkovic. Well, they're trying to get rid of every football possible here, Brisbane. They've worked out if they can kick the ball over all the fences here, it's going to be almost impossible to get them back. That's 3 they've put over. The ball boys have got some chasing to do. It's taken them until the 93rd minute to work that out. They were thinking, maybe we should have come up with that idea a little earlier. On the counter-attack, though, Brisbane chasing 4. Ivanovic chasing a hat-trick. And he takes on the strike. Why not? Why not? With a hat-trick on the table.
You see here, Ivanovic, why not? As you say, Ben, you've got 2 goals to your name, taking on Traore. Traore does well, just narrows the angle.
There may be only a number of them, but the Brisbane fans in Sydney tonight are going to head home very happy. A little bit of late frustration from Tas Mutakudis. And it's going to end in tears for Western Sydney. Not even to the round of 32 in the Australia Cup. Semi-finalists twice in 17 and 18. It is Brisbane who get the final spot for an A-League men's club in the Australia Cup round of 32. A real match of two halves tonight in Blacktown. Jared Carluccio scoring the opener inside the first 10 minutes. They led 1-0 at the break, and then Brisbane roared home in the second half. Warren Moon's substitutions at halftime proving a masterstroke. Demi scored the equaliser, Ivanovic a double. And at full time at Wanderers Sportspark, it finishes Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Brisbane Roar 3. A real upset tonight in Blacktown, and just Brisbane's second win away from home this season, Phil Moss.
Well, they've proved they can do it, haven't they? And that's all important going into next season, because that is something they have to improve big time if they're going to make the finals next season.
Let's get some reaction. Here's Bence.
Luke Ivanovic, 2 goals tonight, mate. Well done. You came on at halftime and changed everything pretty much.
Yeah, obviously coming on, you have to be an impact player, so it's always nice to get the 2 goals, help contribute, and obviously through the Australian Cup now, so which is great. So it's good for the club because we want to be competing and everything.
Yeah, we're all getting used to that new name, but a tough place to come and win, and you haven't been that good on the road this season, but what a way to finish off the year.
Yeah, it's actually our second win on the road, so it's very good to finish like that, and we're all excited now, so which is great.
Well, you're finishing the season in very good form. I guess you don't even want a break, do you?
Oh, I wish this was the start of the season now.